Hi guys, Clazart with Diggity and Rise doing an epic series of commentaries. This is actually going to be the 1000th upload on Royal Attack. Boy, time flies and commentaries fly. This is Canata versus Jaedong, and this is going to be on Byzantium 3. I think that's the correct pronunciation according to some of you guys, although I've always called it Byzantium. And we've just seen a fantastic and, need I say, genius game of StarCraft. Dare I say genius game of StarCraft. In Game 2, and I'm looking forward to more of the same from these guys. So far, the level of play has been exemplary. And we've got Canata at the bottom left in white at the 7 o'clock, and Jaedong in teal at 1 o'clock.
I have to say, this is what you expect out of a championship series. This is what you want out of MSL play, and the MSL has just been fantastic thus far. Across the board, I feel like even in the round of 32, we had very high level of gameplay. I feel like it's actually overshadowing the OSL right now as a result. Byzantium, a great map. I feel like, again, early aggression tends to pay off. For whatever reason, Zerg's had some trouble on this map. I think there's a couple reasons for that. Medic Marine very strong. Also, any sort of mech build very strong. And it just feels like getting that third gas has been excruciating for Zerg players, just because it's quite a distance from the base, and then on top of that, it's difficult to defend. You don't really have any natural. And other maps, you have kind of that ramp to defend where you can kind of plant lurkers on there. I feel like Zerg are forced to go Mutalisks and try to hold that map control. And whenever a Terran player kind of knows what you generally have to do, I feel like that's dangerous territory. And it looks like Canata setting up for another fast expansion. Let's see if he puts down that Rax instead. But he's behaving very similar to like he did the first game. Looks like Jaedong is in fact going to go for some sort of 12 build. I think that's an Overlord. So, no, I'm sorry, that's a drone spawning right there. I think he already got that Overlord out. Looks like he does have that drone in position to put down that 12, and I take it back, Canata is in fact planning down that barracks instead. He is going to play safe, but it looks like he is going to go for mech play, putting down the refinery as well. Let's see, Jaedong did scout the wrong direction. He scouted that upper left-hand corner first. Let's see if he can slip in a drone to get a good eye at what Canata's doing.
And mech has been a very powerful build on this map. I mean, especially with the tanks being able to just destroy the temples later in the game. It's just a very strong way for... oh, wait. Wrong map. Sorry. I was thinking of Medusa. This is Byzantium. But yeah, mech's still a very, very good build for this map as well, because of the different ledges and things, that it makes it very difficult for the Zerg players to actually go up and defend against. So we'll have to see, what composition he decides to go for. But Jaedong, I wonder, he's going for the early scout here with the drone, which is definitely something worth doing whenever you're playing in a 4-player map and you're going for a 12 hatch. It's actually pretty standard to do that. And so I like this play, getting that early scout out, trying to get as much info as possible, trying to prepare for as soon as possible what might be coming his way. And this is going to be important because he may see, the mech build coming, and he should see the mech build coming, and he can prepare for vultures or whatever other build that might be on the way. And thankfully, this is the typical wall-off that we see from players when they go mech, is the barracks and factory wall at the bottom of the ramp. So Jaedong will know right away what he's facing up against. And we're seeing a lair going down, very early lair tech, while only having the 2 Ashers. And, oh man, I don't know if Jaedong actually saw that. He ran away from the Marine before he could actually get down that ramp. So he may be a little bit in the dark here right now. But either way, I think he would expect this because we've seen this play quite a bit on this map. And, the question in my mind is, can Canata use both the map advantage and the fact that Jaedong might be playing in the dark a little bit here to his advantage to try to throw Jaedong off and get back into this match? Because I think that if Jaedong wins this match as well, he'll have the momentum going into the 4th set to just take this game, take this set best of 5 indefinitely. Indubitably even, I don't know. So it's definitely up to Canata to put some pressure on Jaedong and try to take this set down.
Yeah, I definitely feel that if I don't know, perhaps it's unfair to call Canata the weaker player, but in my opinion he is. I think Jaedong actually saw that because he's put a Sunken down in anticipation of that Vulture. So he's going to be able to hold it. He's got a couple of Lings there as well. The Sunken wasn't complete, but Jaedong puts a couple of drones out as well to hold it off. And yeah, the Vulture's not going to be able to do any damage. And that in itself was huge, because if you don't see that coming and that Vulture sneaks in, it just does so much damage that it pretty much cripples the Zerg right away. And I think Jaedong, even though he didn't get close enough to that factory, to the ramp, I think he still saw the factory from kind of over the cliff, which is why he ran that drone away to save it and didn't sacrifice the drone down the ramp. So he also managed to conserve the drone as well as get scouting information, which makes me wonder why Terran players feel the need to block the ramp off with the factory in that manner. I guess they fear some sort of a rush or something like that, but I think they would almost be better off putting that factory down at the bottom, because in that case, that Marine would have probably intercepted that drone, and he might have been able to deny Jaedong that information. So Jaedong wouldn't have known whether he was going to go 1 racks into CC and fast expand, or whether he was going to put the factory down, whether he was going to go 2 racks, and all the rest of it. And he could have deceived him a little bit more. But now Jaedong has got the Hydroless out, but yeah, now he's got the Perennium, and he looks like he's sneaking those Hydroless around the bottom. And he might be trying to get those Hydroless in from the side there, and maybe get some Lurkers morphed closer into Canata's base. And it'll be interesting what Jaedong does. The problem for Jaedong, obviously, is that Canata kind of has an idea of where Jaedong's at. He knows Jaedong's gone for a 2-hatch lair build, which means that he knows that Lurkers are going to be coming, and it looks like Jaedong is positioning that Overlord there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaedong might be trying to go for a drop or something like that here with the positioning of his units, because he's sending those Hydroless down there. So this might be incredible. Jaedong might be doing what we saw Yellow do against Bisu in that now historic match, even though it was only a couple of months old, and he might be going for a Lurker drop, and we haven't seen something like that in a while. So Jaedong being very innovative and creative with his play against Canata, I guess, which kind of shows the kind of respect he has for Canata. But yeah, coming up with interesting ways to deal with the difficulties of the map, and it'll be fascinating to see whether or not that works out for him.
Yeah, 2-hatch, well, he's got a 2-hatch build on the start, and I really like what he's doing with this. One thing, Canata switching back to Medic Marine, that is going to put him a little bit light on detection. Let's see if he manages to get a turret inside of his base. That Overlord now sneaking in. I don't think he has any troops in it yet. He does have that single comsat. He does have the 2 bases to work with, but he's not going to have a lot of troops on the ground. I don't think he has any spider mines out in the field at this stage to really counter. And without that without that armor 1 upgrade, those Lurkers are absolutely going to chew through these Terran troops, and it's going to be hard for Canata to kind of maneuver for both locations. Looks like there is going to be a turret to that back edge, but the Lurk's already down. Let's see if the Medic Marines can get back. Oh, they're completely out of position, so the Lurker's going to be able to walk right up to the command center. And I don't even know if Canata sees it, because he finally sees it. He's bringing those SCVs back, and they're starting to hammer away against that precious comsat, and some Lurkers and some Lings able to get a surround to delay those Marines further. Some Lurkers able to sneak back, and Canata's economy is completely halted at this stage. Beautiful play from Jaedong. He's completely stifled Canata right now, and Canata, you can see, just throwing the 3 Marines he has against those 2 Lurkers. Nice spread, so he is able to take them out, but he's suffering an extreme amount of economic damage right here just by not mining. Finally flooding back. Looks like he is going to be able to... No, he's not going to be able to take that Lurker out either. And that single Lurker camped there along that Medic Marine line. Looks like it's going to still get some damage here. So Jaedong giving himself some breathing room. Let's see if he can capitalize by breaking down like this. More Zerglings pressing down, taking the bunker out, and I think that's an overwhelming amount of Zerglings. Canada's probably going to have to lift this command center up, and with the Lurkers to come to supplement to seal this, I think Jaedong might be able to come away with this game. He gets some nice anticipation, has some fire bats out to try to counter this. So Jaedong really pressing this. He really wants to end the game here. Now taking that 12 o'clock hatchery, but still pressing forward. He wants to make sure that Canata has to lift that command center up. The Zerglings continuing to pressure in, losing a lot of them. That turret does manage to go up, so it looks like Canata will hold. Firebats able to... Oh, almost all the Firebats dead. Everything dead. And an SCV running up and finally taking out that Lurker, Hero SCV. But Canata, yeah, he's taking a sufficient amount of damage. The question is it enough? Because Jaedong invested a ton. Will he be able to catch up with that 12th hatchery? Well, I'm sorry, with that hatchery at the 12 o'clock, 12th hatchery, with the hatchery at the 12 o'clock. And will Canata be able to get a force back on the ground to defend against this next attack coming?
Well, I got to step back in time a little bit for a second here. We actually just saw Canata do some really beautiful saving of his base right there. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but he had a beautiful scan. He only had 1 scanner, and yet he managed to scan right in between perfectly the 2 Lurkers that were placed very far apart from each other, and he caught both of them in the range of the scan, able to take them out at his main base. That was huge, because he didn't have any more scan to deal with that. Of course, Jaedong going to continue to press in on that same vein, which is a great idea, of course. If you see a weakness, continue to exploit it as best as possible, and there is plenty of weakness there. But it looks like Canata sees this coming once again, Jaedong going to place lurkers in the same position, potentially take out another one of those, the Comsat once again, which would certainly hurt Canata. But now, I got to say, Canata, oh, and Jaedong at the front of the base again, too, but he's in range of the bunkers. The bunkers are going to be able to hold their own against those lurkers. So I got to say, Kanata's doing a really good job of defending this. He's taken a beating, but really, he hasn't lost all that many SCVs. Yes, he's lost his army, but so has Jaedong. But Jaedong has been on that two-hatch economy for quite a while, and finally now working on his third. It's certainly not up and running yet, so Canata, I wouldn't say is out of this game by any means, as he continues to just slowly strengthen his position, although he can't mine from one base for 30 seconds at a time, but it's certainly not over yet. And now he's starting to become prepared for this attack by Jaedong. Those are weakened lurkers as well, so Jaedong's attack becoming less and less effective. Jaedong apparently turning around, now dropping the lings outside of the base, realizing that he's not going to do any more damage there. That's a futile attack, and now he's going to work on building his economy back up because he knows Kanata's been on two command centers for quite a while, and if he can't catch up to that, if he can't get his tech to tier 3, he's going to be in a lot of trouble as this game goes on, because Canata really hasn't taken that much economic damage, with the exception of not being able to mine for every once in a while. So really, Jaedong's got some work ahead of him to continue to take this match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Canata did lose out on. It's hard to gauge which player is ahead right now, because Jaedong has put a lot of pressure on Canata, but you really feel when you go for that sort of build, you have to kind of finish the player off to really get the victory. And if the opponent survives with a decent economy, then they should be able to come back strongly in the game and really put a lot of pressure on you. But Canata lost a lot of mining time in his main as well as his natural expo. Jaedong's already got that hive up in the meantime, and not only did Canata, and where is he getting all this gas from, considering he's been pumping those lurkers out as well? He still managed to save the gas to get that hive up, which is really brilliant. But at the same time, and you've got to give Jaedong credit, because he didn't rely on himself finishing the game off with that attack. He knew that attack was getting blunted, so he took the hatchery. He took the time that he was keeping Canata busy to take that 12 o'clock hatchery, and he didn't go full economy. He didn't say, oh, my attack has failed, I've got to switch full economy. He still kept producing lurkers and lings and kept killing units, and that's why Canata doesn't have a sizable enough force right now to really push and take that 12 o'clock down. Looks like Canata now getting ready to push out with a couple of, he's got about 3 siege tanks and almost 2 full control group of medic and marines. But Jaedong's got a decent sized ground army as well, and he's got that third expansions economy kicking in. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be a closely fought battle between these two guys. But yeah, I agree that it's hard to gauge which player has the advantage right now, because Canata did lose a lot of medic and marines and a decent number of SCVs, never mind the mining time, where he was reduced to simply mining from, I mean, effectively for that entire beginning of the match, Jaedong kept Canata to one base mining any given time, which means really that he was ahead in terms of his economy throughout that time, and then he got his third hatch up. So I guess I would say in that through those calculations, Jaedong should consider himself a little bit ahead.
I almost feel, though, with the tech difference right now, Jaedong did press that hive tech. Kanata does have the additional base up. He's researching Burrow right here, of all things. Kind of curious what the reasoning behind that is. He's, I guess, to try to protect that defiler. One thing about this build from Canata is he's going to be very science vessel light, but he's got that range on the lurkers, and he can keep pressing against this as long as he has detection. So what's going to be really key is to protect those science vessels out in the air, make sure the Scourge cannot land on them. And Jaedong, again, the key for him is going to be knocking those science vessels out, because he's extremely lurker heavy. He's going to try to rely on lurkers entirely for his defense. This is a difficult way to defend, though, because he's got all those lurkers. He's going to try to push up. He needs to take out those tanks. Looks like Canata is going to be able to back out of this in time and save both his tanks and that science vessel. And really, I'm curious where the Scourge were in that attack. He's just kind of running up, expending a little bit more swarm. I guess he was kind of forced into that because the science vessel was able to run up and irradiate. And right now, yeah, I feel like Kanata's actually in a better position. He's got a really nice unit composition to press into this. And all he has to do is make sure that science vessel isn't taken out, and he's going to have a lot of success in that. Even if that science vessel is taken out, he'll still have some comsat to work with. And those siege tanks are absolutely devastating right now. Those medic marines kind of filing around them, letting them do the heavy hitting. Medic marine just for support, and a defiler taking a hit there to the south. Looks like a pincer maneuver, and Canata very wisely running in to try to engage this in forward field. There, the Scourge nowhere near the science vessel, though, getting taken out very quickly, very easily. The lurkers just pushing up. You can feel the desperation in Jaedong's play here, just desperately trying to take out the tanks. He's able to take out 2 of the tanks, but the third one still remains. But there's no support forces, so it looks like he is going to be able to take this out. But he lost a ton of lurkers in that process. He lost 3 defilers. It looks like 2 control groups of lurkers, and that was a big cost for just 3 tanks and a single group of medic marines.
I agree here. I mean, there's just a lot of army trading going on. But I got to say that Jaedong really is doing a good job of keeping his army count consistent. I mean, really, we've been seeing that Canata's been losing his entire army over and over and over and over, where Jaedong seems to maintain that minimum number required to keep Canata at bay. But, I mean, how long is he going to be able to do that for? I think that Canata, as he continues just to push out, again, with that really nice unit composition that you were talking about, he's going to be able to work his way into Jaedong's under his skin, basically. Now he's got 3 science vessels out while he's light. Oh, but he's going to lose 1! Just as I say that. That's not a good idea. As soon as, if he can keep up that science vessel count, though, and continue to push with a really strong medic marine force with tanks to support, he's still in a very good position right now. But Jaedong looks like he's putting the pressure on, and I don't think this is the place to do it. I don't know why he's going for it at this point where he's only got like 4 lurkers under that Dark Swarm. That's not going to be very effective, even though he's pushing up with another Dark Swarm. Although Canata's entire force seems to be south of his tanks, I'm not sure what Canata's doing at this point. It looks like he's going to just take a different route entirely with this small force. Try to take out, he's going to take out the 5 o'clock hatchery that Jaedong has put down. In the meantime, he thinks that he can reinforce his current front line squad at the front of his base to defend anything that Jaedong can throw at him right now. And I kind of agree with that. I think that he can. Now, the one thing that Jaedong's got, though, is he's got those lurkers and those ramps working to his advantage. And he's going for a pincer right here, so Jaedong may be able to take this down before any damage is incurred, but no, maybe not after all. He loses his lurker without even getting an attack off. He's got a defiler that's flipping out on a ling right there, so this is going to be potentially really bad for Jaedong. I mean, a lot of this is going to come down to, I think, one big move over here, and Jaedong has just, and beautiful plague on those Marines. He might be able to take that little force out. But again, Canata is staying in it. He's keeping the pressure on Jaedong, and now I'm starting to see that Jaedong just, nowhere does he have a really good sizable army. It seems that everywhere he's got a couple of units here, a couple of units there, whereas Canata has quite a bit in groups. He's got better clumping, it seems. So I'm just curious if Jaedong is going to be able to pull it together and keep these bases running now that he's spread kind of thin over here.
No, actually, I disagree completely with you there, Rise. I think Jaedong is doing a fantastic job of killing Canata's forces and defending his hatcheries. He's held off the attack at that 5 o'clock base. Canata now coming in with another group of medic and marines. He's continually killing science vessels. He's holding off Canata's attacks, but Canata now has amassed about 5 science vessels finally. I think he actually held them back. He was only pushing forward with 1 single science vessel, keeping most of his science vessels back, not exposing them until he got a decent number of them built up, which he now has. But Jaedong is continuing to engage Canata. Canata now trying to get that 3rd expansion up and running just north of the 6 o'clock base. But yeah, I think Jaedong is doing a fantastic job of holding those hatcheries, and really that's all the Zerg has to do as they continue to get upgrades and get those forces in number, especially keep the science vessel count down. As long as he keep the science vessel count down, the Zerg is in a very strong position. And Canata has been sending those medic and marine groups, but not really been killing any bases with them, and that's the key. Jaedong has always managed to save the hatcheries. These 3 lurkers are going to get irradiated, but now Jaedong's got the Mantis Canal up. Canata now streaming in with the medic and marine groups. He's going to try and get this around. One of the science vessels get picked up. Second science vessel get picked up. The 3 still 3 science vessels there. Play goes off as well on those medic and marine forces. Meanwhile, more units streaming in from Jaedong. He's going to once again be able to hold this hatchery at field. Jaedong coming in with the Zerg is taking out those plague units really quickly. Meanwhile, the science vessels are still there. Jaedong bringing reinforcements in from the rear as well. A couple of units get irradiated, but Jaedong is able to come around. The Nidus Canal is coming under fire, and Jaedong really needs to hold that Nidus Canal. But this is brilliant by Jaedong. He's going to bring Scourges around to take those science vessels out. He's not letting any of those science vessels escape. Another science vessel goes down, and that's horrible for Canata. From that initial fleet of 5 or 6 science vessels, he's only got 2 left, and he's also lost his medic and marine force. So Canata loses everything in that attack pretty much, and again, I've said this before, but I'm going to have to reiterate yet again. This is the difference between Jaedong and any other Zerg right now, is the sheer number of science vessels that are dying, and not just the number that are dying, but the number of Scourges that are being used. I don't think Jaedong has wasted more than 2 Scourges so far this game, and that all adds up. It all adds up when you're playing at this level of play. Those are the things that make a difference. Now Canata looks like he's trying to push up towards that expansion at the 12 o'clock position, and Jaedong is going to have to react fast to defend this. Canata now with a couple of science vessels, but Jaedong's got enough there. He's got 3 lurkers as well as a defiler, and once again the Scourges coming in, brilliantly wiping out the 2 science vessels, and with that, Canata's entire science vessel fleet has been decimated. He's got 2 more popping out, but it's just not happening fast enough for him, and Jaedong continue. And again, as I said before, he's always getting something off with those defilers before they die, and I feel that now Canata is starting to feel the squeeze in this game. Even though he's got that 3rd expansion running, he's not really making any headway, and he hasn't been able to critically build up that crucial science vessel fleet that he needs in this SK Terran strategy build.
Let's see if he can, well, let's see if Jaedong, first of all, capitalizes on the fact he does have drop. He might be able to sneak in some Zerglings, at least at the 6 o'clock. Looks like he's sending in some on the ground right now to try to prevent this expansion from going up. Looks like the Zerglings were taken out fairly easily by the Vultures. I feel like Canata's being kind of indecisive with his troop groupings. He's at level 2 armor, level 2 weapons, where I feel almost like he should have been at level 3 at this stage, but he mixed in those tanks earlier and then didn't commit to it. Looks like he is going to load up for a big drop now. I think this is more a preventative measure to keep Canata from taking that 6 o'clock. Let's see if he decides to push into the main nevertheless. I think it's more of a, hey, let's wait and see if he takes that. And as soon as he does, I'm going to stomp all over that. Weapons 3 just now coming online. A couple of radiated units going into the Overlord, interestingly enough. And now a big medic marine grouping going right for the natural. Jaedong now going to press down. He's going to head right for the main. And Canata with not the greatest SCV saturation right there. I'm not sure if he transferred units out of there, losing more science vessels, and that has been huge. Canata's just science vessel after science vessel after science vessel has been taken out. I don't think Canata has enough troops to come back and stop these lurkers on the ground. These lurkers are going to be able to push to the forward position and sit right on top of those barracks in just a second here. And I think Jaedong just won the game between defending that attack and also executing this attack. He's going to be able to take out a lot of this supply, which is really going to hurt Canata first of all, because supply depots, they just take up so much room, and you're like, ah, crap, they're gone. Where do I build them now? Where can I put them where they're not vulnerable? Where can I put them where they're useful? Some science vessels now moving out. I'm surprised that Jaedong actually, after taking out a little bit of that force, didn't decide to push up a little further right along the barrack line. This is still going to be annoying to take care of. But yeah, I feel like Jaedong has won the game with that maneuver. In fact, he did. There's GG from Canata. So Jaedong with the big momentum shift up 2-1 now, and really dodging what I felt like was a good map for Canata. I felt that was one he could have won. Taking another drink of tea, let's see if he can shift back around, but Jaedong looking beastly and very confident, almost smirking right there.
Is it just me? Does he look older too, though? I mean, like, I feel like Jaedong is starting to actually age. It's been a while, but he's starting to look a little older. But certainly, he played that man like a wise old man for sure. He did a great job in making that win work for him. Because I agree. I thought that Canata had the map advantage at the very least. And as he made his first push, I thought that he had, when he had the tanks anyway, I thought that he had a really good chance to take that match back from Jaedong after Jaedong put that early pressure on. But it looks like he just didn't have what it takes to stand up against the Legend Killer after all.
Yeah, it looks to me like whenever there's a standard game or whenever the game translates into late game, Jaedong is just simply too good. He's just too skilled for Canata. He's killing those science vessels. His Defiler play is as perfect to perfection as you can get with Defiler play. And Canata just doesn't seem to have an answer for that. His only answer, the only game he's won thus far, was that 8 racks rush. And it seems like he's going to have to cheese his way through to be able to take this matchup if he wants to take a victory, because it just doesn't seem to me like Jaedong can challenge, or Canata can challenge Jaedong in a straight up matchup. Every time they've gone head to head in the late game, Jaedong has come out trumps. And ironically, it's Jaedong who's the player who's being more innovative in his strategies thus far. So I'm looking forward to the next game, guys. Moving on now to game 4, unless any of you guys have any more thoughts to share on this.
That does it. Jaedong's imbalanced.
Alright, stopping the recording.